Well, hello. Hello, you beautiful, wonderful creatures on YouTube land, in YouTube land, as we say. I don't have the lighting on. It just dawned on me I didn't put my light on. But we have the outdoor lighting. How are you? How is everyone doing? I wanted to come on because there's a couple things going on in the world. I hope everybody can hear me okay. So I thought we would do the empath's prayer. We'd do some blitzes. A couple things going on. Number one, it looks like the horrible has happened, and that is that Putin has cut off the gas in Europe. So here is the map that we did a couple of weeks ago during a remote view. I'll show it to you again. And we can see NATO moving in. The arrows are where missiles can strike in Russia, and you can see the position of the Air Force with Britain training with Sweden right now, and Sweden and Finland, of course, signing with NATO July 5th. So what has happened, you can see also the supply chain down there coming in on the southeast side is being bombed. All those boats, and they've got land and water trade and depots. So that was the area we were told was going to get bombed, and that's what got bombed. And so now what's happening is further up on the Eastern Front, you have another corridor by land, and that's probably getting bombed as well. So what has happened also that I've mentioned in previous remotes is that I don't think the West is fully aware of just how financially devastated Russia is because of this war. They really couldn't afford this war. This war was a disaster. They were barely holding on financially as it was. There were people who were his Ministry of Finance, his accountants, that were really struggling to make sure that money went from here, there, and everywhere. A lot of money went missing as well. Because you had oligarchs and people with their own personal finance investing in the pipelines, taking the money for themselves, et cetera, et cetera. So now we're in a situation where in Putin's desperation, as we had said when we did HCRV, when we did a remote viewing and placed ourselves in the position of Putin and Russia, we felt like we wanted to amass as much territory as possible, as many prisoners as possible, so we would have a better outcome in terms of when we sit down to have dialogue. And that's because they don't have much of an army or finances left. They're pretty much bankrupted, but they can't let the West know how bad it is. So instead, they keep taking hostages and they keep trying to take as much land as possible so they'll have something to negotiate by the end of this. But the West knows that Russia is completely bankrupted, that they have drained the coffers, and that this war is going to bury them, just like the constant wars in Rome buried Rome. So NATO is kind of playing a waiting game for them to have such an economic collapse that they will do anything in order to negotiate. So now Putin has upped the ante and he has closed off the pipeline, which of course is terrible because it means he's not going to get paid. But it's this back and forth. Give me my he wants NATO dissolved. He wants free trade, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we now have this standoff where he's going to take more and more and more and more until NATO backs off. But you can see very, very clearly just how desperate you would have to feel if you were on the eastern side of the equation. I think we should go forward into it. It looks like most likely, I'll be honest, if this continues in this trajectory, we could be seeing Russia turn into like a a third world. I mean, it could be a very bad situation, which would be a shame because that's where they were pre-revolution. Under Tsar Nicholas, is that 90% of the people couldn't afford bread to eat. So it's sad that that is exactly the place that Putin has taken Russia back to by the end of this. We're talking about, if this continues in another 3-4 months, offering food relief to the people in Russia. It's ridiculous. And he has driven them to this. In his desperate attempt to become like Alexander the Great, he has actually driven them back to bread lines. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and do the empath prayer. We'll also check on Bannon. People were upset that he was not going to get much time. I have no idea. I would like to access his records, but let's go ahead. We'll do the empath prayer. We'll do some quick blitzes. Some 5-minute tarot readings, some minis, or what we call blitzes. And let's just take a look. Sound good? All right. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together we say, Amen. I just want to take a look now at the situation in the war with Ukraine, just overall where it's headed. Nobody wins in war. That's the takeaway. Nobody wins in war. Ukraine is impoverished too. People are starving. Nothing was accomplished. The Russians are impoverished and the Ukrainians are impoverished. For what? For nothing. And people died and are traumatized and are going to need permanent help. So we have poverty. And winter is coming. So where the Ukrainians are right now, they can't go back to their houses. They don't have infrastructure. Winter is coming. They literally don't know how many years it will be before they can return back to their land. Where Russia is right now, they have placed themselves in a situation through foolishness that they now can't get out of. And the hope and the fear is, where will this karma take them? The karma can only take them to one place, and that is that they must have a treaty. So they will have a treaty. Let's go deeper into it. Ukraine, there's a lot of grief here, a lot of sadness. You can see the 5 of Cups, which is a grief card, and you can see the poverty over. There was literally the senselessness. It was completely senseless. It's somebody beating somebody else up for no reason other than because you can. It's the bully who just creates suffering for suffering's sake. They are trapped, and also they're trapped in a relationship. Their leaders are holding them hostage, basically. You can see the devil, which is a codependent relationship, or to be chained. So in a way, the people of Russia are being held hostage by the very people that have put them in this situation. You can see the red tape there with the 8 of Swords. And then the hope and fear of the karma, that justice will be meted out fairly by the international community. And then the final outcome for the war, a lasting peace treaty. This will be resolved, which is why I'm convinced Putin's not going to be a part of it. You can see here the Knight of Cups. I feel like we could see the complete collapse of Russia just because leadership is so toxic in Russia that the only way that they are going to have any hope is if they literally do what we're doing right now with January 6th, which is where the people rise up and begin having trials and hearings against the people that were put in power to protect them. But people love power, right? So they go for the power rather than pursuing what is good for the nation. And it's something that Kissinger talked about, that he thought when he came to DC there would be other people excited about serving their nation, patriotic, people who loved the Constitution, who loved government, who loved civics, and instead it was just tons of people he met that were in it for themselves. Wow, how much money can I make? How many opportunities? How many contacts? And unfortunately, we see the same thing playing itself out in Russia. And in this particular case, it has so harmed the Russian people that we're looking at not only poverty, but the devil over them, a sense that they are literally being held hostage from within. I'm just going to now check to see just want to see really fast if what's going to happen with the government and if it's going to collapse. I just want to look inside the future of Russia. I'm curious. They're going to probably have trials as well, because I see people, corrupt people, going to prison in Russia. And also there are intellectuals and academics in Russia that are working, that want to work with the West on the creation of green economy and eco-friendly tourism. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that. You can see here for Russia, success within 1 year. They're moving towards a green economy. Seven of Pentacles is the green economy. It's also harvesting a new economy. Look at the people responsible. Putin, he's facing criminal charges here with a 9 of Wands, and then Putin is the King of Cups, believe it or not. But he's possibly in jail or incarcerated. The hope and the fear was their ability, it's similar to the United States. It's a great democracy if it can hold. You know, it's a great vision if it can hold. And the same is true here for Russia. You have the devil and temperance, which is to be seduced by people in positions of power, the military, etc., seductive people. So Russia's constitution, its ideas for its democracy are beautiful if they can hold. And if people can protect themselves from not being swayed by these types of seductive, power-hungry people. I don't see war in the future for Russia. I see them changing. They're going to get off oil, basically, and that frees them up from needing to sell the oil so that they can continue to whatever. So they're just getting off of it entirely with these cards, so they're they don't want to be dependent on anybody, trade of oil. They want to be free of all of that and instead move towards technology and green economy and a dialogue about saving the planet. You can see also here the final outcome for them, High Priestess, which is all about finding solutions to things that are hidden, the hidden truth, and also travel and innovation with the Knight of Wands. So great cards for the future of Russia. Okay, so good news about the midterms. Not surprisingly, the numbers for Democrats are rising. We now have slightly better than a 50% chance of holding on to the Senate. Give yourselves a round of applause. Let's, Josh Hawley running did not make the Democrats look particularly good. So let's go ahead and take a look now at the future of the United States. And is our democracy going to hold? A lot of people are very confused. There's a feeling here like people got hypnotized, that they were put under some kind of a spell from the bots and from the disinformation. And it was almost like people got drunk on it. And now we have to deprogram them, and we have to do things to protect people, because we now realize just how easily people can be hypnotized by these types of things. But where we are right now as a nation is that we are more than divided. We are just completely in a state of confusion, in the sense that many of us don't know where to go at this time. Foolish behavior, people who may have problems with literacy, mental health problems. When we look at some of why this type of crazy was attractive to the general public, the hope and fear that people will be reasonable. That's very interesting. And we see a celebration, Three of Cups. So there's this. So the general feeling here is that America will save itself. Three of Cups is to celebrate. It's the great celebration. It's interesting, Biden will be seen as a really great president in the end, who really, in the first 2.5 years of his presidency, did remarkable things in terms of unifying the nation. They're saying the first 2.5 years will be critical in terms of him unifying the nation. And wow, it's interesting. A lot of people will go to prison. You can see the great unifier is Biden's card, the leader, the leadership. But look at this. Look at this prison. People are going to prison. Yes, we will save our democracy. We will save our democracy, and I think that there will be a lot of lessons there for all of us. All right, the last thing I wanted to say is that I did do a remote on the weather. I can't say I can find the actual remote, but it looks like when I moved forward a couple of months, we're looking at potential hurricanes, large hurricanes. I don't know what's in my throat, excuse me. Large hurricanes in the southeast. And then I saw energy building up sometime around, highest is between August and October, but it was specifically high around late September, October. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. See, this is why I need more of these. But yeah, so so it looks like we're at risk of some hurricanes in the Florida East Coast area are happening between August, October, but then also we have a lot happening in the Panhandle area and in the Texas Gulf, in the Gulf area. Excuse me. It could be happening around October as well. So a lot of activity in the water between, it's looking like September, October. Going to be seeing quite a bit of hurricane activity. All right, I will try and find my notes and try and find out more about that. But yeah, expect activity both on the East Coast and on the Gulf. And the time of that looked the most vulnerable was right around late September, October. All right, thank you, everyone. Be well. If you're trying to get in for a reading, you can, of course, find the information below this video. And I'll see you all later. Take care.